Chapter 44. When Vivian slapped Lily in the face, she succeeded in her plan, while Lily was speechless. The entire school applauded, praising the acting skills and the emotional explosion of this pair of beautiful sisters. It was impeccable. Emma raised her eyebrows deeply. According to the script's requirements, there will be a short fight scene between you two next, right? Serafina was completely calm and replied, "It might be a real fight soon." Sure enough, after Lily was hit, she immediately reacted and hit Vivian back. Vivian dodged the attack. Although she didn't get hit in the face, her head was still hit with a thud. The sound still echoed throughout the stadium. The atmosphere on and off the stage was extremely tense. The audience all had the same thought, wow, the acting was so realistic, so emotional, so exciting. Everyone's eyes widened, watching the two beauties who were usually so elegant fight each other. It was truly a noble spirit of dedicating oneself to art, to perform, willingly destroying one's usual image. And so, the students were extremely moved, bursting into a thunderous applause, shouting in support, "Good! Good!" Emma and Serafina looked at each other, not knowing what to say. It was truly both funny and sad. Only they knew, it wasn't because the script required a fierce fight, but because these two people had long resented each other. When it came time to perform, Vivian lit the fuse, and then both cannons exploded, using the name of acting to disregard everything. The direct result was, the effect of this fight was much better than any rehearsal. The two of them were really fighting, so when they attacked, they didn't hesitate at all. Although they were still far behind Emily and Megan's moves that day, for these two young ladies who had never fought before, this was already a breakthrough in terms of both their mentality and physical strength. Emma stood by the side watching, frowning, her eyes filled with sarcasm. Did the script add so many moves? Why can't they stop fighting? What a waste of time being a lady on a normal day. Serafina looked at the two of them pulling each other's hair and eyes, and smiled faintly. Don't you know? Ladylike's all like action movies. The atmosphere on and off the stage became more and more magical. The students secretly praised, what a real fight, worthy of being talented actors, future stars. All the teachers, friends, and parents in the school watched the two girls fight crazily on stage, and continuously nodded and clapped their hands in support. This was truly an unprecedented event. Serafina looked at them indifferently, then glanced at her watch. 35 seconds had passed. If they continued to fight, perhaps everyone would realize that these two people really had a problem. At the exact moment when the magic turned into suspicion, the electronic screen on the stage changed. On the stage screen as wide as an outdoor movie screen, two tall and blurry figures appeared, like two giants standing behind Vivian and Lily. At the same time, the loudspeaker squealed a piercing test sound. Serafina glanced down the stage, only to see Megan immediately widen her eyes in surprise, and the eyes of the others also shifted from Lily and Vivian to the screen. Everyone stared without blinking. Even Vivian and Lily stopped their fighting act, turning their heads to look behind them. The moment she turned her head, Lily stiffened, her face drained of color. Serafina looked at her, suddenly remembering her birthday party, when she and Harrison were dancing the opening dance. Her heart was both moved and nervous. When everyone started counting down, she happily welcomed her new age, but that happy time forever stopped at the last second. She finally knew, the moment she turned her head, it would definitely be the same as Lily's current appearance, surprised, terrified. But in the blink of an eye, the fear was replaced by anger, her eyes burning with rage, as if she wanted to destroy the whole world. Serafina fell silent, thinking to herself that the expression on her face at that time must have been worse than Lily's, confused, helpless, and extremely miserable. But while everyone was mocking her, only Harrison remained as gentle as before, saying, "Serafina, wait for me a moment." She indifferently looked at Lily, who was stiff as a stone statue and then trembling like a winnowing machine in the middle of the stage, and secretly asked, "Lily, this time, is there anyone waiting for you?" On the large stage screen, a man said in a low voice, "Megan, I didn't expect Winston to be Lily's biological father. For the sake of your children, as a mother, you have suffered a lot." The woman whispered and exclaimed, "When I was at my most difficult, you overcame it with me. There are some things that will never change." Perhaps many people didn't know that man, but wasn't that woman Megan sitting in the first row of the auditorium? The conversation between the two was magnified very clearly by the microphone, and everyone present in the stadium was shocked. For a moment, the several thousand spectators, including teachers, students, and parents, were all silent. This time, no one applauded anymore. Everyone held their breath and looked at the stage, keeping their eyes glued to the next developments. Everyone wanted to wait and see the battle between the official young lady and the illegitimate child of the Ashford family. On stage, Lily's face was pale. As soon as she turned around, she saw Vivian's fresh face like a flower, so beautiful that she wanted to tear it apart. However, the play was interrupted. She could no longer use the name of the performance to fight her properly. Under the stage, after a moment of silence, the whisper suddenly erupted. Lily Harper is the illegitimate child of the Ashford family? Serafina looked down at the stage indifferently. Both Olivia and Megan had looks of horror, but Olivia was because she couldn't believe it, and Megan was because disaster was about to strike. Mia Brown was still smiling calmly, as if everything was in the palm of her hand, or as if the good play she had been waiting for was finally being performed. Hannah didn't know when she had come from behind, stopped next to Serafina, looked at Lily's face that was distorted with anger, and smiled. I really like this kind of chaos, just like your birthday last time. She didn't look at her, and said coldly, it seems that, besides Lily, you also have a part in the prank to ruin my birthday. Hannah waved her hand nonchalantly. What's past is past. Besides, your birthday prank was just a joke. She changed her tone, sneered at Lily, but today's prank with her is real. After saying that, she turned back to the place and turned the volume up even louder. Emma said nonchalantly, it's not fun anymore, I'll go first. As she turned away she said to Serafina, it seems like he's waiting for you. She turned her head and smiled at her, I know. She saw Emma go away, and looked back at the stage once more. Vivian coldly tidied up her clothes, adjusted the microphone position and volume, and looked down at Megan below the stage, her voice choked with grievance. You guys dare to deceive all of us, how shameless. After saying that, she covered her face and ran off the stage. The chatter below the stage flared up again. Ah! Even the most gentle and calm Vivian couldn't take it anymore. She must have just learned the truth now, and was suddenly hit, and couldn't accept it for a moment. Everyone sympathized with the normally soft as a persimmon Vivian. The contemptuous voices surged like waves after waves, aimed directly at the Harper mother and daughter. Vivian covered her face and ran off the stage, standing behind Serafina and sneered. Being a good girl for 20 years was enough. Today's unscrupulous punching and kicking did not make her feel guilty or embarrassed at all. On the contrary, she was extremely happy. Having opened Pandora's box, she would no longer be that stupidly kind Vivian. She glanced sideways at the person standing next to her, half sarcastically and half self-mockingly, asking, what? Have you seen the fun? Serafina did not turn her head, only glanced once, her expression indifferent, giving her a thumbs up. Vivian snorted softly, not saying anything, coldly looking at Lily who was embarrassed and flustered like a chicken with its hair caught in its hair on stage. But in the end, amidst the murmurs of the whole school, she was still able to try to calm down, elegantly walking down the stage step by step. The MC was stunned for a long time before going up and babbling on about the grand finale of the program. A group of gorgeously dressed dancers glided onto the stage like fresh flowers, dancing gently. The music was also very lively and cheerful, drowning out the murmurs below. Lily's face was as cold as frost, walking in front of Serafina and Vivian, unable to speak, her temples also throbbing with anger. Serafina looked at her indifferently. Vivian smiled, pointing behind her, I only promised not to send the video to Serafina. But you didn't ask me if I sent it to Hannah? Serafina was momentarily stunned. Why did Vivian take the initiative to help her divert attention like this? Moreover, wasn't Hannah the insider who helped her win William over? But since Hannah had said she wanted to take responsibility from the beginning, she didn't think much of it. After Lily heard this, her vicious gaze immediately swept behind the two. Hannah was standing controlling the computer, spinning a USB in her hand, smiling nonchalantly, her face full of disdainful pride. Damn it! Lily cursed softly, and stepped forward to hit Hannah. But this time Hannah had already predicted it, and immediately shook her hand away, sneering, "Lily, today's incident is payback for the last time you hit me." "Humph, I have never suffered a loss in my life, nor have I ever been hit by anyone, so I must avenge." "You still want to hit me again? Still want me to take revenge on you again?" Lily clenched her fists until they were white, her whole body trembling, but she did not rush forward like before. She angrily roared at the other actors in the backstage who were watching, "What are you looking at? Get out of here." As soon as she shouted, the actresses who were originally quiet immediately exploded, chattering, "What's with all that big talk? You're just a third party's child, you think you're a real young lady." "What young lady? Now that her identity has been revealed, there's no need to pretend anymore. This time I've seen her true face. Look at how virtuous her mother is, a woman over 40 years old still wearing a tight V-neck dress, everything that should and shouldn't be revealed is exposed. So arrogant, honestly, like mother, like daughter. Back then, I didn't understand why a young lady would like to seduce men like that. Now it's clear, her mother is like that, it's all genetic." Lily normally has a cold face with her female friends, but she's very bright in front of men, especially those who already have lovers, so she's very unlucky with women. At that time, because her family was quite powerful, although everyone was uncomfortable in their hearts, they didn't say anything on the surface. Occasionally, when they saw her success in acting, they would praise her a few sentences. But now, Lily heard the people deliberately telling her, and didn't even bother to lower their voices. She was so angry that her face turned red and her ears turned purple. She gasped and threatened, "Who else dares to say that?" Her vicious tone made everyone shiver involuntarily. However, there were still people who laughed, "Oh, so scary. Lily, aren't you usually very weak in front of men? Why are you so tough today? You scared people to death." Another girl couldn't help but scold, "What's there to not dare to say? Your mother is a third party, you are an illegitimate child, she is married into a rich family but still goes around seducing others, you have taken the title of young lady but don't know how to behave, you're doing something bad and still want to shut others' mouths, you're the kind of prostitute who wants to build a shrine." Lily rolled her eyes, "Who are you calling the third party? My father liked my mother 20 years ago, my mother is not a third party." The other girl snorted. "You're younger than Vivian, and you're also an illegitimate child, if your mother isn't a third party then who is? Moreover, if it weren't for Vivian's mother who revived the Ashford family back then, would your mother now marry into this family? Your father, his wife had an accident and divorced her not long ago and married someone else. As for your mother, she married into a rich family and still flirted with other men, what a shameless couple." The people around looked down on her even more and pointed at her. Serafina was a little surprised, looking at the friend who was speaking, wondering why she knew so much news. She followed this friend's gaze that was vaguely directed towards Vivian, and saw her lips slightly curled, her big eyes were empty, flashing coldness. She glanced at Hannah again, seeing the same expression, immediately understood, these two people were really borrowing a knife to kill someone. Lily was so angry that she was about to collapse, but she couldn't refute, couldn't scream loudly, and even more so couldn't rush up to fight with those people, mainly because there were too many opponents to fight back. She was angry, but could only say that this friend was jealous of her because she was liked by the boys, and so on. Seeing that it was just a verbal fight, Serafina was not interested, and left the backstage where the argument was noisy and chaotic. As she passed by a deserted place, she happened to hear Megan's voice. "The video was leaked, all because you trusted that despicable bitch Vivian. Now you say I embarrassed you, then why did you believe her when she told you to delete the video?" Serafina frowned, saying that, Winston not only knew about it in advance, but also watched it a long time ago? So why could he accept Megan? While she was still thinking, Megan's voice suddenly became extremely cruel. "Stop threatening me. I'm telling you, if you make me uncomfortable, you won't be able to live in peace." After that, there was no more talking, only the sound of Megan's footsteps leaving. Serafina lowered her eyes, without thinking too much, she already had a plan in mind. Vivian was so pitiful. Serafina had to go home after the school's anniversary ceremony. Harrison promised to pick her up. She had been busy with many things recently, so the content of the date was also unusually strange, such as having breakfast, jogging, going to the library to look up documents, riding in the car on the way somewhere. Because he was her secret lover, the dating place was even more unusual: small flower gardens where only old people would go, children's palaces only for children, but the most common place was still in the car: convenient, simple, private, safe. Before she could get close, he saw her through the car window. When she got in the car, he put his things aside, slightly raised his lips, and spread his arms wide for her. She smiled sweetly, leaned into his arms, and hugged him gently. She rested her head on his shoulder, and said in a long voice, "Have you been waiting for a long time?" "No." He suddenly softened his voice, "I was reading a report just now." Speaking of this, she thought of something, looked up and asked him, "That's right, I'm going to Macau this time. I'm afraid Theodore will be playful again. Do you have any way to restrain him?" Actually, she was just worried that Lily would come and cause trouble again. Of course, he didn't know her intentions. "I think Theodore is doing very well now. You don't need to worry about him like that, right? I'm just being cautious. Anyway, do you have a way? In case you come back from Macau and he causes trouble again, I'll find you and make you pay." He smiled. "Just now, there was an invitation to attend a German business management conference. I didn't plan to go anyway. I'll tell someone to contact him, just change it to him." "That's great." She was overjoyed, her eyes sparkling as she looked at him. He was agitated, suddenly teasing her. "Hey, you're so strict with Theodore. Wherever I go in the future, won't you follow me closely?" She leaned against his chest again, lazily grumbling, "No, I don't care where you go, what you do." He didn't say anything. She saw that he did not reply, as if guessing that he was a bit uncomfortable, so she kept quiet, yawning and rubbing his face. "That's because I trust you." But he did not believe this statement at all. Such a clear difference in treatment, it was too much. But he could not declare, "Why leave me alone? I am not a free-range animal, I need to be looked after." He just smiled quietly, pretending that it was nothing. "I know." She thought he knew, and didn't mention it anymore. He lowered his eyes, saw her eyelids were heavy, and asked, "What, are you sleepy again?" She moved, chose a more comfortable position, and mumbled dreamily, "Yes, I'm sleepy again. Just seeing you makes me want to sleep. Are you already hurt?" "Just seeing me makes me want to sleep." He slowly dragged out the last word, his jet-black eyes suddenly lit up, and said mischievously, "I'm very happy, so you've thought of this step already." She was stunned, suddenly discovering that sleep had another meaning, and her face immediately turned red, but when she raised her eyes, seeing his smile that was overflowing and could no longer be extinguished, she felt even more embarrassed, so she rubbed against his neck, then fiercely pinched his waist. He still smiled, hugged her tighter, and after a while, he softly said, "We'll be home in half an hour, sleep for a while." She hummed, closed her heavy eyes, and only smelled the scent on his body like the scent of the early morning forest. How wonderful. She didn't understand why, but every time she leaned against his chest, she felt completely relaxed, very comfortable, very light, very at ease. Just a moment later, she fell asleep quietly. She slept very well, but he was extremely miserable. She leaned her head on his shoulder, her nose rubbing against his neck, her breathing steady and gentle, like a feather brushing his neck, tickling straight to his heart. His mind tensed up, unconsciously recalling Theodore's words, "A sleeping girlfriend is the best opportunity to caress. If you don't take advantage of it, you're an idiot." "But, she said, "don't listen to that brat Theodore, he must not learn bad things from him." Harrison nodded silently. "Yes, have to listen to her, he can't learn bad things from Theodore." Thinking about it, he couldn't help but laugh. What was this feeling of being both nervous and comfortable when he was with her? He had never been in love before, so he was a bit nervous. Moreover, the person was her, so he was even more uneasy. The original plan was to find a good girl to marry, live a peaceful life, and not fall in love at all. But now, who would have thought that he was so confused in love? All his experiences in the business world were useless. Who would have thought that he would change his mind, choose his mind to please her, and make her happy? What a surprise.